Hi, and welcome to episode 99 of M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jamie. I'm the yarn dyer behind m1yarns.com, based here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. And if you're returning, welcome back. So, I've got some honey lemon ginseng tea with lemonade in it because I think, a terrible head cold. I just got home from vending at a fiber festival, kind of in the middle of Indiana, in a little town called Portland. It was the Jay County Fiber Festival. If I met you there, hi. So I got home last Saturday night. I'm recording this mid-March. I got home, got a good night's sleep, put all the things away, got the laundry done, all the things you have to do after a trip. And like the next day or something, I started to not feel great. And now I just have this, like, you can probably tell I sound kind of nasal. I just don't feel great. And I can tell, like, my eyes, normally I don't have like dark circles. I didn't do my hair today. We're winging it. I really wanted to record because I have a few really fun things to talk about, some of which are time sensitive. So forgive me for not being my absolute best self today, but you get the authentic me. So I'm hoping that this tea gets me through it. Anyway, I'm just going to set this here so it's close by. Oh, and I really am sorry that the nasal situation is probably unpleasant to listen to. Let's start with what I'm wearing. The main event is not what you can see on top, but what's on bottom. But it goes with this. So let me start with the sweater that I'm wearing. This is the pattern is the warm-up sweater. And this is a pattern by Espace Tricot. I can't remember if it was one of those free Espace Tricot patterns or not. Anyway, I will, show notes are in the description box below, so you can check all that out. But I knit this a couple years ago, and it's just a nice, raglan classic crew neck. Nothing fancy, but it's one of my most worn sweaters because I feel like not only do I love the color, this is my Harvest colorway, but it goes with everything. This is actually Superwash DK Merino in the Harvest colorway, held with a strand of mohair in the same colorway. And right there you can kind of see the halo of the mohair. So it's nice and fuzzy. It's super warm. In fact, I'm wearing a long sleeve black shirt underneath. And I am kind of hot. It's nice and sunny out this week. Anyway, so I had yarn left over from this, which I had been wanting to use to knit a skirt that I thought I was going to make stripy, but when I sat down a few weeks ago to knit the skirt as like a good palette cleanser, I was like, no, I think I want to make this a coordinating set. So although I decided not to add in the mohair that's in this is going to be hard to show. I knit a skirt. So I'll insert photos because I just took some finished object photos. I am so happy with how this skirt turned out. It is perfect. I did play Yarn Chicken. Oh, I wish I wasn't. I wish I was able to show you. So it's a little shorter than I had thought I wanted, but when I look back at these FO photos, I do like how short it is. I think it's like really funky and edgy, and that's just kind of where I'm at these days. So I only did I'll try to insert a photo zoomed into what I'm talking about right now. Normally I do like an inch of ribbing on the bottom of a skirt or sweater or whatever, but I really ran out of yarn. I did 2 rows of ribbing and then I bound off using some black yarn that I had, because by then I had run out. And the black I chose because I figured I was going to wear this skirt with black tights like in the photo, and really the black would go with black tights and it would feel cohesive, if that makes sense. So that's what I did, and I'm not mad about it. It's fine. It is what it is. It was meant to be a scrappy project all along. And now I have a set. So the pattern is the simple ass warmer. I have knit this skirt 3 times. I love it. I love a short skirt with tights and boots, and it was just super fun to knit. So yes. Okay, so let's talk about should we talk about the big news? I'll hold the big news for a minute while I tell you real quick about my current projects. So my friend Melissa has a sock knitting machine, and she was so kind as to crank some sock tubes for me. And I had some yarn left over from some socks that I had hand knit, and I asked her to crank a tube. So she had cranked a tube that essentially was like this long, pretty big. And this is Zauberball sock yarn, which if you know, you know. Anyway, I split the tube in half. This looks like I didn't split it evenly. I think it's an optical illusion. Yeah, because when I did the Afterthought heel, it made this tube go like, anyway. So, yeah, they're the same. I know they're the same because I counted the rounds. So I did Afterthought heels, toes, and cuffs on the first sock. It looks wonky because I haven't like blocked them. And then all I have left is the second sock tube. And I'm a really loose knitter, so knitting a pair of socks on a US 0 needle is kind of tough on my hand. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I've had some problems with, particularly with my thumb. I had trigger finger for like since the beginning of last year, and then in November I had surgery for it. Took a few weeks off knitting, took it real easy for the first couple months, and then like about 8 weeks ago I started getting back into like full-time knitting, and unfortunately I am having some pain. It's not the same as before, so I don't know if it's like arthritis instead. But that being said, I decided I don't really need to be knitting size 0 needle socks. So these sock tubes give me the satisfaction of hand knit socks without all the work. Oh, and you're probably looking at this like, Jamie, this is a really tall sock with a really short foot. Yes, I wear a women's 6.5 shoe, and I wanted a tall like boot sock, because sometimes in the winter, like when you wear your snow boots, you want tall socks, and I hate socks that fall down. So yeah, and I love this palette, these jewel tones, so good. So that's project 1. Oh, and you're probably wondering about the contrast yarn that is super sparkly. This is a yarn that I used to carry. I can't even remember what I used to call it. I don't know. Same colorway, Harvest. It was just a different dye lot, so it's like extra rich. Anyway, I had kept this skein because it really was my jam. But then I never had plans for it. And then I'm like, you know what? I love that that same color is like in the colorway. So that's that. Okay, my only other whip right now is, I don't think I had even swatched for this last time. This is the Flax Worsted, I want to say, by Tin Can Knits. And this is using hand spun yarn, which I've talked about a million times before, held with my silk mohair base called Riding on Air in the colorway Silver Fox. And I'm holding the two strands together and getting this fun fabric. Okay, let's talk about this. I have been looking at this all week, and yeah. So, I don't really know what to do about this. This hand spun was all from one big ball, but I obviously spun it onto multiple bobbins, which made for different cakes. It just so happens that typically on a DK or worsted weight sweater, I typically switch to a new ball right around the part where you split for sleeves, which you can tell I did. And then I knit like an inch of the body and realized I was getting like this dark green section. So then I started helical knitting with two different cakes. And it started to even out, but there is definitely like a harsh line, and on camera it's even worse. And I feel like I'm going to have to rip back. I don't know if I'm going to have to cast on all over again and basically helical knit from the beginning. I'm kind of cringing looking at this because why didn't I just helical knit from the beginning? And then because I'm holding really like rough hand spun with mohair and two sets of these, I've got like 4 balls flying in the air. I've got one set in a sandwich baggie, and it's just trying to keep like yarn management under control is a job. Oh, you guys, I know you're all screaming at your screen saying, yes, start over. This yarn is like, I had been using this to knit, sorry, another project, which got frogged. I think after I record this, what I need to do is, I don't even know what I need to do. I need to brainstorm this, but this is so frustrating. It is pretty dramatic. Yeah, you guys, I should frog this, shouldn't I? Ugh. Okay, I'm glad we had this discussion. Okay. You win some, you lose some. You live and learn. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so what I really wanted to talk about in this episode, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to take my sweater off because I am roasting. Much better. Where was I? Okay, I teamed up with my good friend, one of my yarn besties, Sarah, who hosts a podcast also on YouTube called Coffee Knits with Sarah. And we decided we wanted to celebrate spring with a make-along, not just a knit-along, but a make-along, so that whether you knit or crochet, you are certainly welcome. So to celebrate spring, we wanted to make tees or tanks. Any pattern, you know, keep it really casual and fun. And so the Makealong kicks off next Thursday, March 20th, first day of spring. And it runs all the way through June 20th. So you have plenty of time to knit or crochet a tee or tank. And there will be prizes. So what you can do is either post on Instagram with hashtag FriendshipTeeMAL, or in the Ravelry form that we created for this, which I will link below. Or if you search M1 Yarns X Coffee Knits with Sarah, you'll find us. So we have a little Ravelry forum in there, and we will draw prizes at the end of the Makealong in June. So while we were kind of in the planning stages of this Makealong, Sarah and I were texting back and forth, and she had mentioned that she created a Ravelry bundle of like spring patterns that she was considering. And she sent me a link to it, and I looked through it. And I was like, oh, you and I both have the Salty Air Tee in our queue. And I've been wanting to knit that for quite some time since my friend Nadia knit that. And so we both decided we're going to knit that. And actually another friend of mine messaged me the other day and said that she has been planning to knit that. So she's going to knit that for the Makealong. So I was thinking about what yarn I wanted to use, and I think I'd like to use my non-superwash organic merino base, which is called Hippie Lamb. That's the fingering weight. Hippie Sheep is the DK weight. And I had pulled these two colorways as possible options. They're both like kind of fresh and spring summery. I don't know. Do you guys have like a preference? The green is called Crown Jewel, and this is called Sweet Pea. I love them both. So yeah, we'll see. Comment below. I will cast on my Salty Air Tee on March 20th. That is the goal. And other than that, I'm just really excited to team up with Sarah. She's such a sweetheart. Go watch her podcast if you don't already. She's just like a very gentle, soothing soul. So, yeah, that'll be fun. I do love a summer knit because it's quicker than a winter knit. And I actually, of all my knits, I do wear a lot of my tees and tanks, like, throughout the year. So, okay. I had some other crafty / creative things I wanted to talk to you about. One, let's get some tea. Okay, so over the winter between my fiber festival seasons, I was thinking, like, should I get some new logo shirts to wear while vending at fiber festivals or what? And I decided what I really wanted was to keep up with my Motor City theme. If you guys don't know, the M1 in my logo and my name, this is my logo. The M1 looks like a Michigan highway road sign, and M1 is Michigan Highway 1, which was the world's first paved highway. And I can see it from my kitchen window. when I was naming my business, I could not think of a name for like months and months and months. And one day I was driving down Woodward Avenue, which is M1, and I looked up at the road sign and I'm like, oh, that's funny. M1 is like M1 make one in knitting. And I want you to make one with my yarn. Make something. So I immediately was like, oh, I want to be M1 Yarns. So I contacted my good friend Kirby, who is KV Designs on Instagram and Etsy. And I'm going to talk about her more in the next episode. She's a graphic designer, and I told her basically I wanted a road sign with something to do with knitting. And I was like, can you put a skein in the one or something? And she was like, really? That's so easy. And she kicked the design back to me. This is obviously her design. And she added like this really subtle stockinette texture to the background of the white. And it was perfect. So, all that to say, I wanted to keep with the Motor City like car theme. So, I got some Dickies coveralls. If you've seen me at my last 2 shows, you've seen me in these. This is the first one I bought. It's long sleeve. I got my name on a patch, and it was supposed to be iron-on, but it didn't work, so I fabric glued it on. I got this Detroit patch, same thing, and I got an M1 patch, glued it on, and while I was doing it, I had an oopsie, didn't realize it, and got some fabric glue on there. There's a little bit here. Anyway, I can't get it out, and I decided that I would embroider something fun over the fabric glue to add like a little feminine touch, if you will. And on my other Dickies coverall, which is navy, and that one's short sleeve, this one's long sleeve. I actually took that to a shop near me and had it embroidered instead of doing like patches, but I want to add patches on. So here's the thing. If you know of a company that makes iron-on patches that have to do with knitting and that sort of thing, please let me know in the comments below, because I thought it would be fun to add like some flair and like jazz this up, maybe on the sleeves, maybe on the back, I don't know. But my project for this weekend is to embroider over this fabric glue disaster. So I got some embroidery thread and a little guide to like some stitches. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Maybe like a little flower, maybe a feather or something like very naturey. But that is the plan. So, yeah. And I would like to add to it. So we'll see. Anyway, I thought that these are fun because not only is it just like a uniform for what to wear while I'm vending at these shows, but it has deep pockets, which is great for keeping my phone and change and whatever. And they're honestly super comfortable. And vending is like a whole long weekend endeavor where you need to be comfortable. So that's that. Okay. Also, with where I mentioned the embroidery, let me talk about this real quick. I had told you guys a few episodes ago about this cashmere sweater that I bought at Macy's probably 2 winters ago, and something snagged on it. I think my belt, and I got this hole. And a couple of you had some really nice suggestions on how to like unravel the hem to get material to use to repair the hole. And I kept looking at that and I'm like, that's more work than I really want to do. And I thought, you know what? I want to do visible mending. I have seen this on Instagram a million times. And so what I think I'm going to do is get the embroidery thread, do something really cool to patch the hole. Where did it go? It's right there. And then add like some purposeful other stuff. We'll see how far I get with this because all of that sounds really tedious to me. But that's that. So we'll see. Okay, along with it now being like full on Fiber Festival season for me, my next show is, let's see, the end of March I have the Ann Arbor Fiber Expo. And then the following week, the first weekend of April, I have YarnCon in Chicago. So if you are a Midwestern person, I hope to see you at one of those. For Ann Arbor, I will probably bring my spinning wheel because that one is only an hour from home. So I'll go back and forth. And it's just easier. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm on the road, I have to think more efficiently about what I'm bringing. But Ann Arbor, I know I'm going to have a big booth, plenty of space. A lot of other vendors bring their wheels, so I'll probably bring my wheel. Well, last year I changed my booth setup from having a low chair to having like one of those high director's chairs and a checkout table in my booth. And so I realized the other day while vending in Indiana that I needed like a low stool if I'm going to be bringing my wheel to fiber festivals because my booth chair now is high. So I found this collapsible, how does it work? Look at this. It folds flat and it comes with a carry strap. And I'm trying to get this to lock, so bear with me. They have round and square, and I thought the square would be nice. But you can adjust it. I know this probably sounds terrible on camera, and it is a little fidgety, especially because I have a bad thumb. But you put your fingers in these holes, and you like pull apart and twist to lock it into place. And you can adjust the height, obviously. Isn't that cool? So I was thinking, you guys are probably laughing at me doing this. Now I can't get it to close. There we go. I would add this to my spinning like supply bag. And voila. So that's that. Yes. You're probably like, what the heck, Jamie? But I love that it collapses. Hopefully it just doesn't collapse with me on it, because that would be probably painful. I am recording this episode nearly 5 years to the day that I first recorded an episode for this podcast. And I recorded it the week, like just days before we went into lockdown for COVID. And it's ironic that now I'm on episode 99, 5 years later, almost to the day. So something I want to talk about is like a throwback to lockdown was that the two things I really wanted to learn during that time was spinning, which, 2 years ago I got back into spinning after trying it during COVID and it wasn't the right time. Now I love it. It's awesome. I am totally into it. The other thing I had tried during COVID and failed and never came back to, but I'm like, why not celebrate the 5-year anniversary of COVID by trying sourdough all over again? So a few weeks ago, I was over at my friend Kelly's house, and she is big into baking bread and making homemade pizza dough, and she's just really talented. She had a book, I think it was called like Flour, Water, Salt, or something really simple like that. She's like, you can do this, Jamie. It's really easy. So I thought about it, and a few months ago, I really got into sourdough and avocado toast. And I don't know, during the winter, I thought about how much money I was spending at like Whole Foods or my local bakery on my weekly sourdough. And I thought, I am capable of making this at home. So I bought this book, Bread Baking for Beginners. It's really well written, super simple. It has all the instructions for a sourdough starter. It has other recipes for breads. Really beautiful photos. Let me show you like one example. I love like on this page how they show you the steps. Anyway, okay, so I started reading this book and I'm like, yes, I can do this. So this time I got this sourdough starter kit where you have this container. You can use this either as a grip base or lid. It comes with this cloth top. Let me put this on. It comes with a temperature, so you know what temperature your starter is at. Let me see if I can put this on while balancing it. Oh, goodness gracious. So you can do like the lid like this. It comes with this band that you can put on the jar. So you can indicate, like I'm assuming you move the band around so you know when you fed your starter. Like that. If that makes sense. And then, see, I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need the right tools, right? So then I got the little basket that you're supposed to, like, let your dough rise in. This kit came with a little blade and the little scraper tool. And I don't even know what all these things are. This is to make your little designs in the dough. But all that to say, my goal is to make my own starter and start baking my own sourdough. I know I can do it. I totally feel confident now that I have all the tools. So that is on my agenda for this weekend as well. I think that's all I've got for you. Please consider joining the Make-Along. Invite a friend and let me know in the comments below if you're going to join and if you know what pattern you'd like to cast on. So that's all I've got. I hope you are doing well, and until next time, happy knitting, happy crochet, happy spinning, and take care of yourselves. Bye.